is a tutorial based on Dan Larson's bass growl in FL Studio. And this is the sound that we're going to be making today. This is the same kind of sound that you hear in songs by Skrillex and a few others. So let's get started. First, let's start by starting a new project and adding FM8 to our channel. Then let's go to Expert Mode and enable E by right-clicking on it, then left-click on it, and set the ratio to 3 and the waveform to 135 square. Next, let's go to F and change our waveform to sawtooth. Now we can go ahead and set E directly out at 100%. Double-click F to turn it off below. Then we can send Z out as well at 100%. Next, let's set F to Z at 100%. Let's left-click on Z. Let's set our reso to 45 and spin our cutoff up to 100. We'll be changing this parameter later, but for right now we can just leave it there. Next, let's go ahead and set Z to E at 100%. Then we can set E to modulate itself at 23 and set F to modulate itself at 26. Then right-click on Z to enable that. Now that we got FM8 pretty much squared away, let's go ahead and build a track that we can listen to in piano roll. I usually go down to around C2 and add a clip in C2 and an octave above and maybe 2 in between, just to give an in-between dynamic. Alright, let's give that a listen. Okay, so we've got a good start. Now let's go ahead and add dashboard to our channels. And inside dashboard, we'll click the drop down, add a control, wheel, and do like a dull gray. You can choose whatever you want. Just use dull gray. Then let's change a property. Let's change the name to modulation. And then we can scroll up and change the caption to modulation too, just so it looks nice and we know what we're doing. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to automate in FM8 our Z to E here. So I'll grab it and drag it up and down. Then you can go into Tools, Last Tweaked, and we can go ahead and link to our modulation wheel to control it. So in our internal controller, we select modulation. We want to invert this, and we want to smooth it out a little here so it doesn't sound too robotic. Bring that right around 50%. Now we want to automate our cutoff as well. We do the same thing. We go to Link to Controller and select the modulation. Change our smoothing down to around 50% and accept. Also make sure you don't have remove conflicts enabled, otherwise it'll cancel the previous setting. Let's give that a listen. Alright, so we're on our way. Let's go ahead and assign FM8 to a mixer track. So let's double click on it here and scroll up to the first insert. And I'm going to rename this to FM8 so I can keep it straight. Then I'm going to add Ohmicide to the plugin list here. Select Ohmicide, drop it in there. Now there's some specific settings we're going to need to set on this. So in the first band, let's change the shape to about 50. And let's change the body to 100. Change the gain to about 75% of the way up here. Then in band 2, we want to change the shape to 33 on the first. The body to about 45. Right there. And set the gain to about 50%, so right up in the middle there. And then on the third band, we want to change the shape to about 66%, the body to 100, and spin the gain all the way down, off. We also want to lower the volume a bit on this one, so bring this down a little. And then on the last band, we want to do 66% on shape, 100% on the body, set the gain back to 0, and should be good. Let's give that a listen. That's really nice and distorted. And so now we need to start adding some filters in, some high pass and low pass filters. So let's start by adding a parametric equalizer to our mixer chain here. Then you can just use the left arrow preset on this to select the super low roll off. Then we can click this and drag this down to select the high pass. Next thing we want to do is set the bandwidth to right around 16, and we can do this by using the smaller knob underneath all the way to the left here. So we'll move this up to 16. And once we have that, let's go ahead and rename this this assignment to HP filter, or high pass filter. Now the next thing we want to do is add a formula controller, because we're going to want to change the minimum maximum values for our automation here. So first let's link the width controller here to our formula controller A out. So let's select that. Let's just go ahead and assign that. We don't have to worry about the smoothing. Now we're going to link our A parameter to our modulation wheel here. So we're going to select that in the list. And we're going to smooth this down to just above 50%. You can adjust this however you want. This is where I keep it. Accept that. And now whenever we move our modulation wheel here, you should see the values move in both of those. You should see A move as well as the gate start sliding around there in your high pass filter. Next, we need to change our maximum value that we can get on this A parameter. So we're going to do A divided by 2.339 and hit enter. Now when we move this, you should see all the way at the bottom, it can only go up to about 1,000 hertz, which is exactly what we want. We want 1 kilohertz in there. Now, we're going to click on our high pass filter here and do save preset as, drag this down and drop it beneath our formula controller. Then we can rename this to LP filter for low pass filter. Then we're going to switch this around to become a low pass filter. Move this up here by the high pass so we can actually see them next to each other. Now let's rename our formula controller to HP formula, so we know that that formula controls the high pass filter. And then let's do a preset save as drag below our low pass filter, and let's rename this to low pass formula, because we know this is going to control our low pass filter. Now let's link our low pass filter with here to our controller for our formula controller, and we want this to be our low pass out. Select that. Next, we want to link our A parameter on our formula controller to our modulation wheel here on the dashboard. We want to put smoothing on to just above 50% and hit accept. And now we should see everything moving when we move the modulation wheel here. We should see both gates sliding around. Yep, see those? And it looks good. Next, we need to enter a formula, which is going to be A divided by 2 plus 0.5147. I know this seems a bit weird, but what we're trying to do is make sure that we stay up at the 1.5 kilohertz range up to the top. Now let's give that a listen. So that's sounding pretty good. Now we want to go ahead and add wow to our mixer chain here. Drop in wow. And we want to set our mix to right around 25% here. Then we're going to set our resonance up at 90. Then let's change our overdrive to be 15. And let's set the vowel mode on. And let's change from bandpass to band reject. Then we just set our A vowel to A colon, so drag this down until you see A colon. Now let's link the cutoff by wiggling it around and going to Tools and selecting the last tweaked value here. And let's link that to our modulation dashboard controller. So select dashboard modulation here, and let's invert the mapping. Inverted, and move the time smoothing to just above 50% and accept. Now when I move this modulation wheel, you should see everything move. Cool, let's check it out. So that sounded pretty good. We have a few more things we need to do. So let's go ahead and add blood overdrive to our mixer chain. And we want to set the preamp to right around 38. Right around there is fine. And then set the gain back to about -33. And all the rest of the parameters should pretty much be okay just the way they are. Let's check it out and see what this sounds like. Very cool. So then the last thing we need to do is we need to add a parametric EQ2 to our chain here. So this, put a parametric EQ2 in. And let's adjust the levels by grabbing 2 and sliding it just in front of 1 and 6 just behind 7. And you can adjust these levels to whatever you want. I think it sounds pretty good right about there. So basically you want to line that up with the dynamics of where you actually see the sound on both the modulator to the left and to the right. So check out the sound. I think that's pretty cool. And that's about it. So I hope this tutorial helped you, and if you have any questions, feel free to drop me a line. Take it easy.